You were not created to live an average life. You were not called to just survive. You were designed, destined, and divinely crafted to dominate, to thrive, not by chance, but by choice. But you'll never rise to your full power if your energy is scattered, your attention divided, and your identity wrapped up in what everybody else is doing. Your breakthrough begins within. That simple truth has the power to transform your entire life, but only if you truly grasp it. Too many people go searching for solutions in the world around them, thinking the next book, the next mentor, the next job, the next connection will unlock the door to their destiny. But the real shift happens the moment you stop looking outward and start digging inward. That's when the real work begins, the work that actually matters. Inside you is a blueprint that was already written before you ever showed up on this planet. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You were created with purpose, power, and potential. But if you never pause to explore what's been deposited inside of you, you'll go through life thinking you need something you already have. God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called. And if he called you, he already gave you what you need to fulfill the assignment. The question is, have you uncovered it? Breakthrough doesn't come by accident. It comes by alignment. Alignment with your purpose, alignment with your identity, and alignment with the truth of who you really are. Not who people said you were, not who you've been pretending to be to fit in, but the you that was fearfully and wonderfully made. That version of you, that's where the power lies. That's where clarity lives. That's where transformation starts. But here's what most people do instead. They wait. They wait for permission, wait for validation, wait for the perfect timing. Waiting becomes their comfort zone. But breakthrough doesn't visit the passive. It rewards the intentional. You won't step into your next level by accident. You'll step into it because you chose to confront your own patterns, challenge your own thinking, and commit to doing the deep inner work. What's keeping most people from breakthrough is not lack of information. It's the refusal to sit in silence, to face themselves, to get honest about where they are and why they're there. It's easier to distract ourselves with noise than to confront the truth in quiet. But nothing changes until you do. Until you stop running from yourself and start running toward who you were created to be, the cycle just keeps repeating. When you shift your focus inward, you begin to see where your beliefs came from. You start recognizing the lies you inherited, the fears you've been carrying, and the doubts you've been feeding. You start realizing that the limitation wasn't your circumstances, it was your perception of them. And that's when the light bulb goes off. The power to break free was never out there. It was buried under the rubble of your own unresolved stories. The moment you embrace the truth that your breakthrough starts with you, you stop blaming and start building. You stop pointing fingers and start pointing forward. Because once you know where the work is, there's no excuse not to do it. It's not easy, it's not instant, but it's absolutely worth it. Every layer you peel back, every belief you renew, every fear you replace with faith gets you one step closer to the version of you who's already living the life you're dreaming about. You start to develop habits that align with your higher self. You talk different, walk different, think different, not because you're pretending, but because you're finally becoming. That's what inner work does. It doesn't just change how you act, it changes how you see. And when your vision shifts, your decisions follow. You start operating like the person who's already received the breakthrough. Because spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you already have. People around you will notice the shift, but they won't always understand it. That's okay. This journey isn't about convincing them. It's about awakening you, the real you, the disciplined you, the faithful you, the version of you that's no longer waiting for external change to create internal peace. You've flipped it. You've decided to let internal transformations shape your external reality. That's the shift. That's the foundation. That's the difference between existing and evolving. Comparison kills, and it does it slowly. It doesn't knock on your door and announce itself with a warning. It sneaks in quietly through the scroll of a phone, the highlight reel of someone else's life, the whispers of inadequacy that creep in when you see someone doing what you dream of doing, only they seem 10 steps ahead. Comparison doesn't just distract you, it diminishes you. It convinces you that your journey isn't valid because it doesn't look like someone else's. It tells you that your pace is too slow, your progress too small, your voice too quiet. And without realizing it, you start disqualifying yourself from a race that was uniquely designed for you. When you compare, you trade your authenticity for imitation. You start copying blueprints that were never meant to build your house. You begin to mimic tones, strategies, styles, and rhythms that might look successful for someone else, but feel hollow for you. That's because you weren't called to be them, you were called to be you. But comparison clouds your vision. It blinds you to your own brilliance. It tricks you into thinking their spotlight means your light is dim, when in reality, their shine has nothing to do with your glow. You both can shine. But only if you stop chasing their lane and start owning yours. The most dangerous part of comparison is that it robs you of gratitude. You stop seeing what's good in your life because you're too focused on what looks great in someone else's. You forget that progress is still progress, even if it's quiet. You stop celebrating your small wins because they don't feel like enough. But what you fail to see is that someone else is looking at your life with the same envy you've been projecting outward. It's a toxic cycle that nobody wins in, because everyone's race looks better from the stands, but nobody sees the struggle behind the scenes. The truth is, people don't post their process, they post their peaks. You don't see the tears, the trials, the nights they almost quit. You just see the polished version, the filtered frame, the edited success story. So here you are measuring your real life against their curated content, and you wonder why you feel behind. You wonder why you feel stuck. It's because you're not focused on your own work. Your eyes are on the wrong field. Your mind is filled with noise that's not even your business, and your spirit is drained by comparisons that never feed your purpose. Focus is the antidote. When you truly focus, when your mind, your energy, your time, and your soul are aligned with your mission, everything changes. You stop caring about how fast they're running and start caring about how faithfully you're moving. You stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against your potential. Focus brings clarity, it brings peace, it brings power. Because now you're not scattered, you're not trying to be everywhere and everything. You're laser sharp, deeply rooted, and moving with intention. Focus is where results live. It's where growth happens, not in the distractions, not in the comparisons, not in the mind games, but in the work. Focus forces you to sit with yourself, assess your path, define your goals, and eliminate what's not aligned. And that's hard to do when your mind is constantly trying to match someone else's definition of success. Focus says, I'm building something that matters even if no one else sees it yet. It's internal validation over external applause. It's mission over mimicry. It's purpose over popularity. You begin to realize that your timeline is sacred, that rushing won't make the fruit ripen faster, and comparison won't bring the harvest quicker. Everything you're meant to experience will come in its due season, but only if you're faithful in this one. That means staying in your lane. That means protecting your focus like it's your life's currency, because it is. Every moment you spend watching someone else's journey is a moment you're not walking your own. And nobody can walk it for you. As you reclaim your focus, you start to feel the shift. You're no longer anxious about how far others have gone. You're energized by how far you can go. You stop asking, why not me, and start declaring, I'm next. That's what happens when you focus. You stop feeling threatened and start stepping called. You stop shrinking and start stepping. You stop mimicking and start mastering. And all of it happens when your eyes are no longer drifting sideways but locked straight ahead on the purpose set before you. Every distraction that once felt urgent now feels irrelevant. The noise fades. The anxiety quiets. The envy dissolves. And in its place, a steady fire starts to burn. A fire of discipline, of clarity, of faith. That fire fuels the kind of consistent, purpose-driven action that comparison will never produce. Because comparison breeds doubt, but focus breeds confidence. And confidence isn't loud, It's grounded. It's the quiet assurance that you're exactly where you need to be, becoming exactly who you're meant to become. The question is not, are they ahead of me? The real question is, am I honoring my assignment today? Because if you are, then you're already winning. Energy must be directed, not dispersed. Energy is your most valuable currency. It fuels your thoughts, your actions, your decisions, and ultimately your destiny. But here's the problem. Most people don't know where their energy is going. They wake up tired. They move through the day drained. And by the time they lay their head down at night, they feel like they've run a marathon without ever taking a step forward. That's not because they're lazy. It's because their energy is being leaked, not led. And until you take full authority over your energy, you'll always feel like you're working hard but getting nowhere. When your energy is scattered, your results are scattered. You can't expect focused outcomes with unfocused effort. Think about a river. When it's contained and directed, it generates enough power to light up entire cities. But when it overflows with no boundaries, it becomes destructive and uncontrollable. Your life is no different. The more boundaries you set, the more direction you give, the more power you hold. The less intentional you are, the more you'll find yourself reacting to everything and creating nothing. We live in a world that's constantly demanding our attention. Notifications, conversations, emails, opinions, headlines. Every one of those things is trying to claim a piece of your energy. If you don't decide where your energy goes, the world will decide for you. And the world doesn't care about your calling, your peace, or your purpose. It will keep you busy but empty. It will keep you distracted but not developed. It will make you feel exhausted without ever giving you fulfillment. Because noise is not progress and movement is not momentum if it's taking you away from where you're supposed to be. You have to start asking yourself every day, is this building me or draining me? If it's not building your spirit, sharpening your mind, fueling your purpose, or supporting your growth, then it's costing you more than you realize. Conversations, relationships, routines, even thoughts. Everything is either an investment or an expense to your energy, and until you start managing it like a sacred resource, you'll keep living under your potential while wondering why you're so worn out. Directing your energy means aligning your daily decisions with your deeper intentions. It means saying no when it's unpopular but necessary. It means turning off the noise so you can tune into your own voice. It means waking up with a plan, moving with conviction, and refusing to entertain what doesn't align. Because every yes you give is also a no to something else. And when you say yes to every distraction, you're saying no to your growth. You're saying no to your next level. You're saying no to the version of you that's trying to rise. Most people underestimate how powerful they could be simply because they've never channeled all their energy in one direction. They dabble in everything and master nothing. They start projects they never finish. They chase every shiny object and end up with none of the results. But when you choose one direction, when you give your energy to one clear mission, you become unstoppable. Focused energy breaks barriers. It moves mountains, it builds empires, it transforms lives. But it only works when it's aimed at something greater than comfort or convenience. And here's the real shift. Energy isn't just physical, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's mental. What you meditate on, what you entertain in your mind, what you speak out loud, it's all energy. And if your energy is wrapped up in worry, in bitterness, and regret, then your future will be stuck in a cycle of defeat. You can't create a victorious life from a depleted spirit. You have to guard your thoughts like a fortress. You have to speak life with intention. You have to surround yourself with people who pour into you, not poke holes in you. When your energy is directed, you start to notice things shift. You begin making progress in areas that once felt stuck. You begin to see how small changes in discipline lead to massive changes in results. You stop trying to do everything and start doing the right things. And those right things compound. They build upon each other. They create momentum. And suddenly the things you used to struggle with become the things you conquer with ease, not because life got easier, but because your energy finally had a direction. Your calendar tells the truth about your energy. Your habits reveal your energy. Your environment reflects your energy. If you want to change your results, start by changing where your energy flows. Direct it toward discipline. Direct it toward purpose. Direct it toward the people and places that pull the best out of you. Because where your energy flows, your life grows. But where your energy is wasted, so is your potential. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. It's not about hustling harder, it's about aligning better. Because the goal isn't just to move, the goal is to move in purpose with power in the direction of what God has called you to do. And the only way to do that is to protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Master yourself to elevate your life. That's not just a motivational phrase, it's a spiritual principle, a mindset shift, and a lifelong discipline. The truth is, nothing outside of you has the power to dominate your destiny unless you allow it. Your external life will always rise or fall to the level of your internal mastery. You can't build a strong structure on a weak foundation. Not your talent, not your opportunities, not your network. You. If you don't learn to lead yourself, life will lead you in circles. Self-mastery isn't about control for the sake of control. It's about alignment. It's about bringing your thoughts, emotions, habits, and behaviors into agreement with your higher self, your divine design. Too many people want elevation without preparation. They want the promotion without the process. But elevation without self-mastery will crush you. You'll sabotage what you prayed for because you never develop the discipline to sustain it. Mastery is the preparation that protects the blessing. Every decision you make is a vote for the person you are becoming. The small choices, the quiet disciplines, the daily habits, these are the bricks that build a life of greatness. It's not the big moments that determine your future. It's what you do in the dark when no one is watching. It's whether you choose consistency over comfort, whether you show up with excellence even when no one is clapping. Mastering yourself means making the right decision even when it's the harder one. Emotions make a terrible master but a powerful servant. When you let your feelings lead, your life becomes unstable. You react instead of respond. You make decisions from temporary moods that create permanent consequences. But when you master yourself, you learn how to feel your emotions without being led by them. You gain the wisdom to pause before reacting, the strength to stay grounded under pressure, and the clarity to move with intention rather than impulse. That's power, that's maturity, that's mastery. Most people think the enemy is outside of them. They blame other people, circumstances, the economy, their past. But the greatest battles are internal. It's the war between your potential and your procrastination, your calling and your comfort, your purpose and your pride. Mastering yourself means confronting your own excuses. It means silencing the voice that says, I can't, and choosing to say, I will. You don't overcome the world by running from yourself. You overcome it by conquering yourself. Self-mastery shows up in your habits. Your habits are not just routines, they are declarations. They tell the world what you value, who you believe you are, and where you're headed. If your habits are sloppy, your outcomes will be too. If your habits are intentional, your life will reflect that intention. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. Are your habits pulling you closer to your higher self or pushing you further away from it? That answer reveals the level of your mastery. You cannot elevate in life if you're weighed down by undisciplined behavior. Discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. The freedom to say no to what doesn't serve you. The freedom to show up powerfully on purpose. The freedom to move forward even when your feelings say otherwise. Mastering yourself means you don't negotiate with your standards. You don't lower your bar to meet your mood. You raise your discipline to meet your destiny. Self-mastery demands that you tell yourself the truth. No more sugarcoating, no more blaming, no more waiting for someone to come save you. You become the kind of person who looks in the mirror and says, if I want better, I've got to be better. That's when the shift happens. That's when you stop performing and start transforming. That's when growth becomes non-negotiable, because you finally understand that the only thing standing between you and the life you were created to live is you. It's in mastering your time, your thoughts, your speech, and your spirit that you unlock the next level of life. This isn't about behavior modification. It's about identity transformation. It's about becoming the version of you that is already equipped, already capable, already victorious, but buried beneath old habits and borrowed identities. Mastering yourself is the process of unlearning everything that kept you average and stepping into everything that calls you higher. True elevation doesn't come by chasing status, applause, or achievements. It comes by rising above your former self. It's the daily commitment to evolve, to grow, to be led by vision instead of comfort, to discipline your emotions, and to live with conviction. Because when you master yourself, everything else falls into place. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Stewardship over selfishness is a principle that separates those who simply exist from those who truly lead. Life was never meant to be hoarded, it was meant to be managed. What you've been given, your time, your talent, your resources, your influence, is not just for you. You are not the owner, you are the steward. And how you manage what you've been given will always determine what you're trusted with next. The problem is too many people live with a mindset of ownership instead of stewardship. They think it's all about them, and in doing so, they miss the greater impact their life was meant to create. Selfishness is rooted in scarcity. It believes there's not enough to go around, so it grabs hoards and clutches. It says, let me get mine and maybe I'll help later. But stewardship operates from abundance. It understands that what flows through you multiplies, what stays stuck with you stagnates. A steward knows that giving doesn't take away, it adds. Sharing your wisdom, investing your time, sowing into others, these are not losses, they are legacies. Selfishness is short-sighted, but stewardship thinks generationally. When you choose stewardship, you become intentional. You stop wasting time like you have an endless supply. You stop misusing your gifts like they'll always be there. You start asking, how can I serve with what I have instead of how can I benefit the most? That shift in mindset creates ripple effects. The time you steward well produces opportunities. The money you steward well builds impact. The relationships you steward well create doors no man can shut. Stewardship is the secret to multiplication, while selfishness leads to stagnation. Many people are praying for more, but haven't managed what they already have. They want promotion without proving responsibility. But heaven doesn't bless waste. If you can't manage a little, you won't master a lot. Stewardship is about accountability. It's about looking at every area of your life, your health, your finances, your relationships, your spiritual walk, and asking, am I treating this like something sacred or something disposable? Because how you handle the small determines whether you're trusted with the great. Stewardship requires sacrifice. It means showing up even when no one's clapping. It means giving even when it's not convenient. It means protecting your purpose from distraction, laziness, and entitlement. You start realizing that everything you've been given has a purpose beyond you. Your story, your struggles, your victories, they were never meant to stop with you. You've been equipped not just to survive, but to sow into others, to lead, to multiply, to advance something greater than your own comfort. Selfishness isolates, but stewardship connects. When you live for yourself, you shrink your world, you surround yourself only with what serves you, and as a result, you stop growing. But when you live as a steward, you open your life to divine partnerships. You attract people who are also on assignment, who sharpen you, who stretch you, who elevate you. Because stewardship isn't just about giving, it's about alignment. It puts you in the right circles in the right season for the right reason. Stewardship is a mindset, but it's also a discipline. It shows up in how you manage the mundane. It shows up in how you treat what others overlook. It shows up in whether you clean up what you didn't mess up, honor people who can't promote you, and give excellence even when it goes unnoticed. These aren't just good deeds, they're evidence of character. And character is the foundation of favor. Favor finds the faithful, not the flat. There's a difference between ambition and stewardship. Ambition says, how far can I go? Stewardship says, how well can I serve where I am? Ambition isn't wrong, but if it's not rooted in purpose, it becomes self-serving. Stewardship grounds you. It reminds you that elevation is not for ego, it's for impact. that every platform is a pulpit, that every position is an opportunity to point back to something greater than yourself. Because you're not just building a brand, you're building something eternal. Living with stewardship means your success isn't just about what you gain, but what you give back. It's about pouring into others without keeping score. It's about being a blessing, not just being blessed. And the beautiful part is, when you live that way, the reward always comes, pressed down, shaken together, running over. But that's not why you do it. You do it because it's who you are, because you were created to be a vessel, not a vault, because the gift wasn't given to die in your hands. Stewardship transforms how you see everything. Your purpose becomes a mission, not a possession. Your time becomes precious, not expendable. Your resources become tools, not trophies. You realize that the greatest success isn't measured in what you have, but in what you've been faithful with. Because in the end, legacy is not what you leave to people. Legacy is what you leave in them. And that only happens when you choose stewardship over selfishness every single day. You are the answer you've been waiting for. Not the approval, not the applause, not the opportunity, not the relationship, not the money. You, deep down, we all want someone or something to come rescue us from our circumstances. We wait for a break, a shift, a miracle to show up externally, when in reality the power to change, to rise, to break through is already living inside. You're not lacking potential. You're just disconnected from the truth of who you are. That disconnection is what keeps you chasing something outside of yourself instead of awakening what's already within. You were created with divine intelligence, with gifts that solve problems, with insight that can open doors, with creativity that can transform situations. But if you're always looking outward, you'll never develop what's inward. You'll keep living in reaction to life instead of in command of it. The world will feed your dependency. It will make you feel like you need a title, a trend, or a platform before you're valuable. But the truth is, your value is not up for debate. It's already established. The only question is, will you own it? The reason many people stay stuck isn't because they don't have what it takes. It's because they haven't taken ownership of who they are. Ownership isn't arrogance. It's alignment. It's standing in full agreement with the version of you that God already sees. It's choosing to stop playing small, stop dimming your light, and stop doubting your worth. Because the longer you wait for someone else to validate what you carry, the longer you delay your destiny. The answer is not coming, it's already here. And it looks a lot like you. When you stop waiting for permission, you start walking in purpose. Purpose doesn't show up when everything is perfect. It shows up when you decide to stop hiding behind fear and start acting in faith. The fear will still be there, the uncertainty will still whisper, but so will your calling, so will your spirit, so will the part of you that knows you were made for more. And when that part becomes louder than your excuses, everything begins to change. Not because the world shifted, but because you did. There's a version of you that's fully capable, fully prepared, fully equipped to handle everything you're facing. But that version won't be revealed through comfort, it comes through confrontation. Confronting your limiting beliefs, your patterns of procrastination, your addiction to external validation. That version of you is buried under layers of doubt, distraction, and delay. And every time you choose action over avoidance, every time you speak life instead of limitation, you're digging that version out. You are not waiting on a breakthrough, you are the breakthrough. The moment you shift your identity is the moment your reality begins to follow. People talk about manifestation, but manifestation only happens when your actions are in agreement with your identity. If you believe you're not enough, you'll act like it. If you believe you're chosen, equipped, and called, you'll move with boldness. The results in your life are always a reflection of what you believe about you. Change the belief and the fruit will follow. Most people are trying to fix symptoms without addressing the source. They try to change circumstances without changing self-concept. They switch jobs, switch friends, switch strategies, but they never switch their thinking. And so they end up in different places with the same problems. But once you realize that everything changes when you change, you stop looking for better situations and start becoming a better steward of the one you're in. You stop waiting for answers and start becoming one. The transformation you're craving doesn't start with them, it starts with you. with one decision, one shift, one act of courage that says, I'm done living beneath who I was created to be. That moment creates a ripple effect. Your language changes, your posture changes, your boundaries get stronger, your standards get higher, and the world around you begins to reflect the clarity within you, because when you elevate your self-concept, you elevate your entire experience. You're an adult. You don't need someone to open the door. You need to realize you are the key. Every skill you develop, every challenge you overcome, every truth you accept sharpens you into the solution someone else is praying for. You were not placed here to blend in. You were placed here to build, to lead, to disrupt, to shift atmospheres. But none of that happens until you stop waiting for something to happen to you and start allowing something to happen through you. The greatest gift you can give yourself is responsibility, not in the sense of burden, but in the sense of ownership. Owning your voice, your choices, your future, because no one is coming to hand you the life you were meant to live. That life is unlocked when you say yes to the calling that's already burning inside your spirit. You don't need a title. You don't need applause. You don't need a crowd to confirm it. You just need to believe that the version of you you've been waiting for is already within.